So, Mrs. Eva Fabri, you're Director of the European Centre for Women in Technology. You're Chair of the Global Women in Technology Network, and you're one of the you did the welcome speeches, and you're one of the initial partners of
this. It
this.
is so, yes.
A big conference held in Greece. So I would like you to tell us what it stands for you, this conference, why is it for, and what are your aspirations for the future?
Okay, so...
many questions.
Many
I will
questions,
let you time
but maybe I would like to start by saying that 21st century really gives new opportunities for women to actively get involved in everything, practically everything, the knowledge society. So I feel that irrespective what kind of ambitions you have, if you want to be a politician, you can use media and social media in a more effective way than earlier. If you don't know what subject to choose, then I would say the best thing is that you look at what are the possibilities that technology is giving you, and you really have to discover yourself how cool it is to work with ICT. And in this sense, I feel that every girl in every country and every woman in every country has to understand that technology is an enabling tool that they should have as part of their life, integrated into their daily life. And from this point of view, of course, we see that there are quite big differences between countries in terms of the involvement of girls and women in the knowledge economy. And I would say that in the case of Greece, I also feel that you have many talents, diamonds or pearls that I think are not being exposed, or they themselves are so humble that they don't promote themselves the same way with the help of technology as, for example, Americans. Okay?
Yes.
So the basic strategy of ECWT is really now that we have grown. I mean, we are a very young organization. We started out in 2008. But in 5 years, we have managed to get around 130 really key public-private organizations on European level, and also some ICT companies that are global players to support the cause of getting more women into technology through creating a European level platform where simply these key actors can meet and discuss how could we in a measurable and significant way increase the number of girls and women in technology. We organized an EU presidency conference in 2011 in Hungary, and what we saw was it was something similar to this, but this is more mature, because in Budapest we just had more like a brainstorming conference. And what happened was that a bit more than 2 years later, now in January, our Hungarian national point of contact managed to sign a strategic partnership agreement with the government with practically similar goals as this action plan that is now being created. And we see that in not just EU member states, all around Europe, also including applicant countries or Western Balkan countries, there is a very strong both need from the side of the women, but also willingness from the side of the politicians to put this issue on the agenda. So actually I think that when the Grand Coalition for Jobs initiative was launched last year in March, it was a pretty evident consequence that the Women in Technology agenda would be
urgent. It would be placed in a
placed
very...
in the discussions on a national level. And of course, the nice thing is that the process in Greece went so quickly. So I'm really impressed to see that today there are 17 Greek actors and 4 European networks or organizations that have declared their willingness to be in this platform and also to implement the action plan.
To work all together. So as director of the
ECWT.
Yes.
Yep.
Do you see differences between women in the north of Europe and the south of Europe?
Differences in what way?
In implication on the ICTs.
Well, I would say that probably, in Scandinavia, in general, young people, both boys and girls, they are much more keen on using technical tools. And in a way, you can say that
their educational background is more oriented to that.
Yeah. But on the other hand, I think the nice thing with ICT is that practically you can leapfrog. So it doesn't mean that if you start later, then you will catch up later. But if you are ambitious and you really want to proceed quickly, then you can catch up very quickly. So, I would like to say one thing, that 2012, we had this eSkills Week also, and there was a competition for girls in ICT. And the team that won it was the 3 girls from Greece. And there, if you would have met them in this competition, they were just as in the forefront of using technical tools as any other young person in Europe. So I really think there are no differences when it comes to young people. When it comes to elder people, of course there are differences, because I would say let's say Scandinavian societies in general are much more used to e-services, e-governance solutions, in general, e-solutions in every way. And therefore, for women in Sweden or Norway to do most possible things online is very natural. And
it's like their second nature.
Until now, I don't think it's the same in Greece, but this can happen quickly.
And my last question is how the ECWT will help this action, but
well,
in a practical way.
Actually, when you look at the document that was presented today in the conference, there are a whole list of let's say good examples that are, for example, for the signatories of the action plan. I would say 90% of those are proposals that we have presented. So European Center for Women and Technology is really looking at what are the good practices in Europe and trying to scale up their dissemination in Europe. So for example, if you say role models for girls, we looked at 30 different role model solutions all around Europe and found that this Alpha role model office that is used in Norway is very efficient. Why is it efficient? Because they say that, oh sure, we all need role models, but actually you have to be able to identify yourself with a role model, and it's much easier to have a role model that is in your region, that you meet more often, than to say Sheryl Sandberg, even if we think she's a role model for us all, but you also need to have role models that are closer to you in every way, so more
Of
on a
course.
local level. And therefore, for example, in Norway, there is simply a national online platform where you can go to different regions and identify role models from the region, and you can invite them to come and visit your school or to have a discussion with them, and you can reinforce this personal experience in a very living way. So
Yes.
this is just one of the examples, but for example, if you think of creating these multi-stakeholder platforms. In the Netherlands, they have a platform called Beta Techniek, and that has been operative for several years. And I think when implementing the Greek platform, it's always nice to consult with another similar type of structure to see what are the mistakes that we don't want to repeat, you know.
Of course.
So in a way, I think that it's good to be able to relate to a repository or a resource bank of you know, projects and networks and people and documents and whatever. And in this respect, one of our tasks will be to show alternative solutions that can serve as a good example for the Greek platform. The other one will be to link some of these really talented young girls in Greece to different activities, not just in Europe but all around the world. And the third one, I would say, if I choose three, that the third one will be measurement of impact. So the progress that Greece is making in the next years, how does that relate to progress being made all around Europe or globally?